Howdy y'all and welcome. I hope everybody's been enjoying this nice fall-like weather here as of late. Now, I'm expecting some summertime heat to make a return here as we head into the meat and potatoes of summer, so don't get used to it. And we'll get into that here in a little bit as we are actually under 20 days away from fall, y'all, so get excited if you like fall. I personally like summertime, but I know a lot of my viewers like fall, so before we get into the temperatures, what we could expect for the next couple of weeks, we actually got a hurricane out there by Hawaii that we gotta keep our eye on, so let's go ahead and get into that. As you can see, we got Kiko out there, currently a pretty significant hurricane, but is expected to pass just north of the Hawaiian Islands by Tuesday into Wednesday. It could still cause some very dangerous ocean conditions out there, at least when it comes to rip currents and, of course, life-threatening surf out there, so definitely be aware of this. And even though the National Hurricane Center has it just passing to the north of y'all and weakening down into a tropical storm by Tuesday, it can still make a southerly track and impact y'all, so I'll be keeping y'all updated, of course, if that does happen, but I'm expecting it just to pass to the north of y'all, so that is some good news, but of course will cause some problems because going to be dealing with the high winds from it and the dangerous ocean conditions potentially by Monday afternoon into Monday evening, at least when it comes to the Big Island anyways, so definitely be aware of this. Live anywhere here along the Hawaiian Islands. And as we take a look at the satellite here out by Hawaii, we can see Hurricane Kiko out there spinning along, expected to weaken down as we head into Tuesday into Wednesday. And as we take a look at the models as well, at least the simulated infrared anyway, this don't go out very far, but we'll still take a look at the long range model here in a little bit. We can see Kiko churning along, expected to weaken down by, I would say, Monday evening into Tuesday, past just north of the Hawaiian Islands, then it's going to get out of y'all's hair, but still will cause problems as it's going to be bringing some tropical storm force winds and some dangerous ocean conditions and some potential storm surge as well. Gotta be concerned about that as well. But don't let your guard down. It can still impact y'all, but I'm expecting it to pass just to the north of y'all, and I will be keeping everybody updated on X and Facebook as this does get closer. And once that moves out, looking like we're going to be all clear in the Pacific Basin after coming in on such a very active hurricane season, at least compared to the Atlantic. The Atlantic was supposed to come in on a very active season, but it has been a very, very slow start to the season, although we've had a lot of named storms and I think a couple direct impacts, but nothing too significant, so we'll take it. Not complaining here. But we can see no tropical storm activity in the next 7 days after we did have, I think it was an 80 or 90% cyclone chance last week. Quickly diminished as we headed into this weekend, and now it's a 0% chance as it did get choked out by that Saharan dust. So let's go ahead and take a look at the models for kicks and giggles. I did promise that I'll show you the long range model here in the Central Pacific. Now as we zoom out in the Pacific Basin, we can see Kiko moving just to the north of the Hawaiian Islands, but once that moves out, all clear out there in the Pacific Basin. Not much to worry about out there, other than probably some rain showers next week, but of course the further we go out, the more uncertainty there is, and of course this far out, the models love to print tropical storms and hurricanes. This probably won't happen. Please just X this out of your mind. This probably won't happen, but if it does, keep y'all posted, of course. Now, as we take a look at the sea surface temperatures, we can see that very, very favorable sea surface temperatures out here out by Hawaii. That's why Kiko is thriving, is because of these very favorable sea surface temperatures, and there's nothing out here in the Eastern Pacific because we are coming in on some very chilly temperatures out there, except for down here in just west of Mexico. So if anything does form out here, going to be coming in on some very favorable temperature. Now I did say something in the last video that when there was some activity out here, that if anything comes into these favorable sea surface temperatures, that it's gonna thrive pretty much, and it did. Kiko did form, and now we got to deal with that. And I think once that moves out, we're going to come in on some unfavorable temperatures out here in the Eastern Pacific, unless anything interacts with the sea surface temperatures down by Mexico, but I doubt that happens, as the next 7 days is looking to be pretty clear out there as far as the Pacific Basin goes. So nothing to worry about, although the GFS did show us out past 300 hours out that there's going to be a system out here, but please keep in mind anything over 100 hours out is la la land pretty much when it comes to the models. So now that we know the Pacific Basin is going to start to quiet down here in the long term after Kiko moves out, let's go and take a look at the Atlantic Basin, as that's expected to be much of the same story. And as far as the sea surface temperatures go out there, very favorable in the Gulf, of course, because shallower waters. And we can see in the Atlantic Basin, very favorable out there, at least when it comes to the next week or so as we head into the end of this week. going to be more and more favorable out there. Now, even though we have very favorable sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic, we got to keep our eye on the Saharan dust, as this is what choked off that like 80 or 90% chance of cyclone activity earlier on this week. So we got to keep our eye on this. Now, we don't have to worry about this in the Pacific Basin. In the Pacific Basin, y'all just have to deal with the sea surface temperatures and the ENSO conditions, basically the La Nina or El Nino conditions out there. But we can see as we head into this week, it's looking like going to be dealing with that Saharan dust out there, and it's not looking like any activity is going to be getting going because of this Saharan dust. So it's actually some good news. We don't want any hurricanes out there impacting us. And as we take a look at the simulated radar here, we can see that we're not going to have much in the way of any sort of systems affecting us, at least here in the next 7 days, or at least here in the near term anyway. We might have some waves coming off of Africa, but are going to be quickly choked off by that Saharan dust. And of course, we're heading into almost 300 hours out. Models love to print tropical storms and hurricanes this far out, and we can see going to be having some activity here in the Gulf of America by September 19th. Keep in mind, might not happen at all. Good news is, once Kiko moves out, not going to have any sort of tropical activity to worry about in the Pacific Basin. And as far as the Atlantic Basin goes, we do have some favorable sea surface temperatures out there, but that Saharan dust is going to choke off any activity that does form, so that's some good news. Going to be quiet in the next 7 days, so nothing to worry about as far as the tropics go. We are going to be winding down in activity here very soon as we head closer into November, but we are still in the meat and potatoes of hurricane season. The meat and potatoes of hurricane season lasts all the way from August all the way into October, so keep that in mind. And as we take a look at the satellite right quick, forgot to show you all this, but you can see not much in the way of activity out there, at least for today anyway. We got some waves off of Africa, but are going to be quickly choked off by the Saharan dust. So let's go ahead and get into the temperatures, since that's what y'all came here for. And we're going to start off taking a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook by the Climate Prediction Center, as they're expecting the eastern part of the country from the northeast down into the southeast to come in on some below normal temperatures, as well as down here in the southwest. But majority of the country is going to be coming in on near normal to above normal temperatures, so we could be coming in on a summertime weather pattern here very soon. Long term, as we head into the meat and potatoes of September, expecting much of the country to come in on above normal temperatures unless you live over here in the East Coast. And as far as the risk of hazardous temperatures go, the Climate Prediction Center has issued a slight risk for hot temperatures from the 14th through the 18th. So let's go ahead and get into that. Now, as we take a look at the temperatures today, we can see this morning it was very chilly amongst much of the lower 48. Supposed to warm up today, but relatively cool here amongst much of the country. Same story for tomorrow morning, so might have some frost in the morning, as some frost advisories have been issued in Michigan and Pennsylvania, so make sure you cover up those plants out there. And then it's going to be cool again, and we're going to be coming into some summertime heat as we head into meat and potatoes of September, y'all. So please be aware of this. We're going to be coming back into some 90-degree temperatures as we head into right around the 11th through the, I would say, 15th time frame. So please be aware of this. It's probably not going to last too long, though. This is going to be what we call our Indian summer, technically. We're going to be feeling the heat one last time, and then we're going to be coming back into some very, very chilly air again as we head into the end of September. Now, as we take a look at the precipitation for the next 6 to 10 days, we can see that from Texas up into the northeast, it's going to start to dry out, while the northwest and southeast and much of the east coast is going to be heading into a very, very soggy pattern. Kind of an August-like pattern when it comes to the precipitation anyway. Next 8 to 14 days looks like much of the same story. So let's go ahead and get into the precipitation, and then we'll take a look at the bird migration and the fall foliage. As we take a look at the precipitation for the next couple of weeks, we can see that the central and western part of the country is coming in on some spotty showers, and the southeast is going to be very, very soggy, especially down here by Florida. Y'all need the rain. It's been very dry down here in southeast Florida. It's looking like the Midwest is going to start to dry out, while the central part of the country is going to be remaining in a very soggy pattern. And it's just going to remain that way for quite a while. The Northwest, especially up here by Montana, is going to be coming in on a very soggy pattern. And then the end of the month, we're going to be coming back into that pattern shift. As we're going to be coming out of those hot temperatures, we're going to be back into an active weather pattern where we could potentially be coming in on some severe weather. And of course, the GFS loves to print tropical storms and hurricanes this far out. This won't happen, y'all. Please be aware of this. But it does happen, then I'll be keeping y'all posted, of course. But basically, the next couple of weeks, it's going to be very, very soggy here out central and western part of the country. Drying out here in the Midwest, a bit in the Northeast. Southeast is going to be very soggy, good for those drought conditions down here by Florida. And then we're going to be coming in on a pattern shift as we head into the middle and end of the month, as we're going to be transitioning from the hot air back into some cooler air, which could spark some severe weather here in the Midwest with a potential tropical storm. Now, I say potential, might not even happen. This is really, really far out when it comes to the models, but if it does, I'll keep y'all posted. But could be coming in on a soggy pattern here at the end of the month. And as we take a look at the risk of heavy precipitation amongst the lower 48, we can see there's a slight risk down here by Florida from the 14th through 18th. So, well needed rain down there. Now you can see how much rainfall we're supposed to get from the 14th through the, I would say, 16th time frame. Right around, I would say, 2 to 4 inches of precipitation down here in Florida, and even higher amounts in southern Florida, so definitely be aware of this. It's kind of too much rain for y'all, as y'all have been coming in on some drought conditions down there. And for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the country while we're at it. We can see where majority of the rain will fall for the next couple of weeks. Northwest and southeast is going to be getting in on the jackpot, while the Midwest up in here to the northeast is going to be starting to dry out, as well as the southwest. So in summary, basically, the next couple of weeks is going to be coming back into a summertime pattern here in the central part of the country, while the eastern part of the country is still going to be relatively cool, as well as the southwest. But don't expect that to last, though, as we head past the meat and potatoes of September. Expect it to cool back down here amongst much of the lower 48 as far as precipitation goes. We're going to dry out drastically here from Texas up here into the northeast, but up here in the northwest and down here in the southeast, it's going to be very, very soggy, so please be aware of this. And we could be coming back into an active weather pattern as we head into the end of September. Now, as far as the tropics go, after Kiko moves out, I would expect both the Atlantic and the Pacific basins to start to quiet down a little bit. Of course, this can and will change. The reason why I say this is because the Saharan dust is choking off any activity in the Atlantic basin, and in the Pacific basin, the sea surface temperatures are becoming less and less favorable as we head closer into October. So, if y'all stayed this far in the video, I'd like to thank y'all as we take a look at the bird cast for tonight. Over 266 million birds are predicted to move through. We are heading into peak migration season, y'all, so get excited. Now, tomorrow night, about 224 million birds are predicted to move through. And then on Tuesday night, over 192 million. And as we take a look at the bird migration map from last night, we can see about midnight, over 300 to 400 to almost 500 million birds move through. So the birds are starting to move through, y'all. So the birds are going to be confused as we head into the middle and end of September, because it's going to be getting hot very soon. And then we're going to be cooling back down and staying cool again. So they're going to be moving south and then moving back north, and they're going to be moving back south again. So it's going to be a lot of migration here as we head into the end of this month, y'all. So good for bird watching anyway. And lastly, as we take a look at the fall foliage map, we can see we do have some color on this map, at least out here in the upper elevations of the Rocky Mountains anyway. And here is when peak timing is, by the way. Peak timing is September into October, at least here in the Midwest anyway. We don't have any color here at the Williams Weather headquarters just yet. And once we do have some persimmons fall off the tree, then I'll be showing y'all what we got here, because that does predict what winter could look like. Spoons predict a snowier winter. Knives predict a colder winter. And a fork usually predicts a sort of milder winter. Now back to the color report this week. As we head into the end of this week, let's say the 15th time frame, going to be expecting more color up there in the Rocky Mountains. So getting closer to fall, y'all. We're less than 20 days away now. And if you want to send me any sort of fall foliage, make sure you go send it over to my X and Facebook pages. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it, y'all. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you leave a like and share so more folks are informed about the weather. And also don't forget to leave some feedback in the comment section down below, as any feedback helps provide you, the viewer, better and more informative content in the future. And also don't forget to hit that subscribe button with the bell notifications turned on, because at Here Wins Weather we try to make weather forecasting fun and informed. So basically, heading to the meat and potatoes of September, it's going to be getting hot again. We're going to be feeling those summertime temperatures, but don't be fooled, because once we head into the end of the month, expecting a cool down again. And as far as precipitation goes, it's going to be drying out here in the Midwest up into the Northeast, but in the Northwest and Southeast, it's going to be dealing with a very soggy pattern. And as far as the tropics go, we'll be coming back into a very, very quiet pattern here very soon. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all you for watching, and until next time, never stop forecasting.